Hey everybody, this is Rebecca. Welcome back. I promised a video where I was going to explain how I prepare for conventions in my bullet journal, so this is that video. I'm going to Comic-Con in a week and I am so excited. I've already started planning in my current bullet journal, but first I wanted to show you what I do in previous instances. So last year we went to Comic-Con, and then last October I went to LeakyCon, and so I've basically used the same system both times, and I just kind of wanted to show you how that works. So very first step is deciding what you're going to wear. This is all important, right? Everyone knows a good geeky convention, at least, you got to have costumes. I didn't really dress up for Comic-Con, and I'm not really planning on dressing up too much for this next one, but I definitely had costumes when I was at LeakyCon. I had, it was a 4-day convention, so I actually planned out each outfit I was going to wear in my bullet journal, and I just listed out all the different items, components that I needed to either purchase or make or source somehow for each costume. So definitely use your bullet journal when you're sewing things. I actually sewed this dress, and I used my bullet journal to design it a little bit and to sort of work on my schedule because I was kind of doing it on a deadline. So bullet journals are great for crafting if you're actually making your costumes, but even if you're not, they're really great for keeping track of everything that you need. So I do recommend when you're making your packing list, go ahead and list all of the items that you're going to need for your costume, and just go ahead and list by day what you're going to wear so you don't forget anything. Like, for example, my dress needs a special bra that I need to pack, and I don't want to forget that. Of course, also when you're making your packing list, don't forget sunscreen, power bank, your cell phone, all the different important things that you're going to need while you're waiting in line in conventions or while you're trying to find your way around downtown. When it comes to actually planning what panels I'm going to and what events I'm going to, I do use my bullet journal as well, and I find a time ladder to be really important. But the very first step, before I even get to writing anything down in my bullet journal, is to use the app that comes along with your convention. Comic-Con has one, LeakyCon had one. I think a lot of conventions nowadays will have an app. If they don't, you're going to have your schedule either online or in print. If you find it easier to print it out and circle things or highlight things, then by all means. If you're happy just taking notes while you scroll through something online, go ahead and do it that way. But go ahead and just look through everything that's available and highlight, or start by starring or highlighting everything that strikes your interest at all. Then, after you've picked all of the things that are potential items that you want to see, you'll want to go through and add them to your bullet journal along that time ladder in pencil. Because nothing is going to be set in stone until you walk through that door into that panel. Things come up, friends want to go see something else, or you meet somebody for lunch and there's a super long line and you can't get in. Plans are always in flux when you're at a convention. So you want to make sure that you plan for that. Plan for things to be in flux. All of the things that you can list on your time ladder in pencil are things that you'd like to see if you're able to. If you can't, then it's fine, right? So when you do get there, you'll see here in my first Comic-Con, I wrote a lot of stuff in pen and ended up crossing it out if I didn't go. If I did go, it's still there, and so I know that those are the things I went to, because this is a great way to look back on the memories and remember which panels were worth it. When you end up getting to the panel, go ahead and write it out in pen so that you know that you went to that one and you can remember it later. I also find it handy to give a star rating to the panels that I went to, just to keep in mind how much I enjoyed each thing. You can also use your time ladder to keep note of the things that you did between panels. You might want to write them in a different way, in bold, or in cursive like this, or indented, so that you can tell which things are panels and which things are not. It's also very useful to remember where each panel is taking place. If you're going to a huge convention like Comic-Con, it can take a half an hour to walk from one panel to another. So if things are close to each other, and you'll notice as you're writing out your different potential panels that you want to go to, Some of them might be right next door to each other. Some of them might be in the same room, which is perfect because they don't clear out rooms in between panels. So you can actually plan, okay, I'm going to be here from 8 a.m. to noon. And feel free to consider things that are happening between the panels you're interested in, because that's one of the great things about staying in a room between panels. There's often something interesting happening that you didn't even know about. And then don't forget to plan a slot to eat your lunch or pack a lunch, because you know those hot dogs that they serve in the convention center are never very good for you. So like I said, your schedule is never set in stone until you walk through the door of that panel. So it's important to stay flexible whenever you're at a convention. When I was at LeakyCon, everything was pretty walkable. It didn't take very long for me to walk from one end to the other of the convention. So towards the end of Sunday, I wasn't even really filling things out beforehand. I was just using my time ladder to keep track of the things that I had seen and using the app to keep track of the things that I wanted to see. And having that kind of flexibility can be really freeing and open you up to new experiences. The great thing about bullet journals is that it's not just a plan or just a packing list. You can use Pages for whatever. If I had not had my bullet journal with me at the convention, I wouldn't have been taking notes in these panels, and I probably would have forgotten a lot of the things that I learned. Really interesting stuff. I went to a cosplay panel, and so I took notes of some different blogs, some different resources and tips. I also used the note section to take note of things that were happening that weren't timed. Events that were happening off-site that were from a certain time to a certain time every day. I wanted to check out a couple of games, and those aren't timed at all. You just sort of go into the room whenever you're free. It's also important when you're at a convention and you're carrying a lot of cash, because cash is important at a convention because you don't have to pay sales tax usually if you're carrying cash. But since I don't usually do a lot of cash spending in my day-to-day life, I often forget what I'm spending things on, and I'm not very good at keeping track. But I have to take special care when I'm at a convention and paying mostly in cash. I've actually already set up a section in my weekly layout for Comic-Con where I'm planning to keep track of all of my cash expenses. So a lot of these tips can be applicable to any sort of convention. Say you're going to something for work, take notes. Take notes in your bullet journal. You only have to carry one notebook around with you that way. If you're going to something like a Comic-Con or something that's a bit more artsy, maybe you have a traveler's notebook and you want to include a sketchbook or watercolor insert to practice sketching during an artistic panel. Really, your bullet journal can be anything and everything to you, and really convenient to only have to carry one thing around to remind you of everything you want to do and need to do. I hope that some of these tips were useful for you if you're planning to go to a convention sometime soon. If you're going to be at Comic-Con 2017, maybe I'll see you there. And even if you're not going to be there, I'm actually going to try to do a daily vlog while I'm at Comic-Con, showing you my planner and showing you what I'm planning to do and how it works out, and then a little bit, of course, of everything exciting going on around downtown San Diego. So I'm looking forward to that. I hope you are too. Those will start going up next Wednesday or Thursday when I'm there. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in about a week.